And a TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast alongside Jeff Siegel. I'm Jeremy Plonk. Kentucky Derby. Oh, it's coming up in May. We're mid-December. You might be thinking Christmas, but Jeff, Derby fever is in the air. We've got a couple Kentucky Derby points qualifying races coming up this weekend. Springboard Mile tonight at Remington Park on closing night of the season in Oklahoma City. And then on the West Coast, it's the Los Al Futurity coming up on Saturday. Let's start thinking about some roses if we can.
Well, I mean, the race at Los Al is always the Baffert Invitational, and it is again this year, but he may not win it. I mean, well, he probably will, but we're going to gamble against him with another colt that I think's got a chance to develop into a really, really good 3-year-old. He's kind of an unknown right now, but maybe he won't be after the Los Al Futurity tonight at Remington, on your old stomping ground, and I'm going to be leaning on you. I have a rooting interest, a minor rooting interest, not as from an ownership standpoint, but from a friendship standpoint in the race tonight, the Springboard. I don't know how objective I'll be with handicapping, but I know you will. So I will kind of lean on you for that, because nobody knows Remington better than Jeremy. And then we got a couple of nice races at Gulfstream, and then even Turfway's got a really strong program on all-weather stakes races tonight. We'll talk about. That's when I say tonight, I mean Saturday night. So good gambling as we kind of wait day after Christmas at Santa Anita, and nominations will be released today. I can't wait to see that. There'll be 6 or 7 stakes races, I think, opening day. So anyway, looking forward to it. Looking forward to making some money this weekend.
Yeah, we're just 13 days away from that Santa Anita opener, of course, as we record this on the 13th of December, 26th. What a Malibu it's shaping up to be. Mystic Dan, the Kentucky Derby winner, expected to make his comeback. He's headed to the West Coast, maybe already there, I think. Ben Tornado headed that way as well. I think he may be on the grounds already in Southern California at Santa Anita. Ben Tornado, of course, runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Sprint most recently. So a superb addition. And which of the Baffert comebackers might we see in the Malibu Stakes? It's going to be a lot of fun here as we get closer to that. For those of you watching on our X channel or watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, share this out with other folks to help us grow the audience for the First Call podcast. And for those of you on our traditional audio channels from the very first day, let's go to the schedule for the week and let you know which races we're going to talk about here for Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th of December. Springboard Mile at Remington Park will kick things off for us on our schedule. That's the last of 6 consecutive stakes races on the card in OKC. To Aqueduct we go for a pair of races for the 2-year-olds, the New York Stallion Series. Colts go first, the fillies will go second. At Gulfstream Park, we've got Oaks and Derby Day, Tropical Park style, Tropical Park Oaks and Tropical Park Derby for the 3-year-olds on the grass. At Los Alamitos, we'll talk about next year's 3-year-olds in the Los Alamitos Futurity. And at Turfway Park, it's the first ever Synthetics Championship, 4 stakes races on the Tapeta there at Turfway Park. Horses coming in from all over the country. The My Charmer and the Prairie Bayou will be the 2 stakes races that we handicap. And also want to give a shout out to Fairgrounds on Saturday, where the state breds are in action for the Louisiana Champions Day program. Stakes up and down the line for the Louisiana Breds. We've got 2 million first rewards points on a hit and split in the late pick 4. Be sure to check out Scott Shapiro's picks at Xpressbet.com and at news.first.com, and he'll give you the lowdown on the races on Louisiana Champions Day and that hit and split. Be sure to take advantage of that. And anytime you use the promos when you're playing with FirstBet, Xpressbet, make sure you opt into the promotions when you're in your wagering account to take full advantage. Let's start things out at Remington Park. Jeff mentioned my old stomping grounds, was a track handicapper, Equibase chart caller there for several years. 4 years, in fact, 95, 6, 7, and 8 before heading back east. And Remington Park's big Springboard Mile makes its 24th appearance. It wasn't on the calendar yet when I was working there, so time is dating us. But Springboard Mile is race number 12 on the card tonight. Post time is going to be after 11 Eastern. I believe around 10:20 Central Time. 2-turn mile at Remington Park. It's a 1-mile oval there and a full field of 12. Jeff, this is a race where shippers have had some success. Locals have had some success. But one of the things that's been pretty constant is we've seen horses who've had some stakes experience do really well in this race. Over the last 10 years, 8 horses came out of stakes races to win this race. So I kind of lean towards some horses who already have some stakes experience. And I thought the local prep race, the Clever Trevor Stakes, was a good place to look. Jolly Samurai in there was the winner. He's won 3 races at the meet, including the Kip DeVille Stakes. But the runner-up in there, Dominant Spirit, is the horse I'm going to go back to in the Springboard Mile. Beaten favorite at 6-5 that day. I think he's going to have some inside speed in here. What I like about matching those 2 horses up back against each other, look at the workout tabs. They both ran, of course, in the same race, October 25th. 3 works for Jolly Samurai Sense with a gap in the workout tab. 5 workouts for the Chris Davis trained Dominant Spirit. All right on cue. I kind of think this horse moves forward off of that race. So of the locals, I'm going to give the edge to Dominant Spirit. And at 15-1 in the morning line, you're going to get a much better price than you will on Jolly Samurai. I know you've got your eyes on an out-of-towner, so tell us what you're thinking about in the Springboard Mile.
Well, I'm rooting for as opposed to picking. There's a difference, Number 9, Dr. Ruben M., Santa Anita shipper from Doug O'Neill's barn. I thought his maiden win was fairly clever. Now, I know that when you make the lead going along at Santa Anita, it kind of flatters you a little bit. And maybe you're not as good as it looked. But I thought he won fairly cleverly when he graduated during the fall meeting. And I'm thinking, the number was strong. He's rising figures, and he's not going to be in front, so he's going to have to prove in this race, I believe, that he can stalk, pounce, and go. I think he can do that. There is speed inside of him, so we'll find out how good Dr. Ruben M. is. He's owned by a group called the Del Mar Group, which I am not a part of. However, who is Mick Cronin, the UCLA basketball coach, friend of mine. And then I think Mick is actually rather happy that this race is the night before, Friday night, as opposed to Saturday, because he's going to be busy trying to beat Arizona tomorrow afternoon down in Phoenix. So I think this is a good time for the race for him. So he'll be up watching. I will as well. This is a nice colt. I mean, he's a Vino Rosso colt. He figures to get better with age. And like I say, if he can stalk, which he's going to have to here, he may be able to outrun his 6-1 morning line. Because on numbers, he's a fit. But again, those numbers earned under circumstances that are not going to be repeated here. So I'll be rooting for him. But something at 15-1, I'm not going to be dismissing your horse. That's for sure. If you look at 15-1 shot at Remington, I'm listening. I can tell you that right now.
Well, you've got the horse from California. We've seen a pair of California shippers win this race over the last decade. 3 have come in from Churchill to win. 4 locals have held down the court from Remington. And then we had one come up from Florida. Safi Joseph brought one up to win here a couple years back. So horses can win from all over coming in for this race. You've got Dr. Ruben M. Let's let the fans get a look at this horse winning in action at Santa Anita.
Dr. Ruben M. still in charge. The others getting further away. It's a 4-length lead. Day and Age. Now Rank makes a bid while caught 4 wide. Freedom's Not Free is the first to drop out of it. They turn for home. And Dr. Ruben M. clear by 5. Rank on the outside. Day and Age at the rail. And Brother Tony in between. They're coming to the 16th pole. Dr. Ruben M. 4-length lead. Rank is trying his best and is closing ground late. It is Dr. Ruben M. Rank getting closer, but out of time. Dr. Ruben M. Wire to wire.
Favorite in the Springboard Mile in the morning line is Speed King for Ron Boquette, a debut winner at Churchill Downs. I didn't go with this one because I thought Dominant Spirit had a similar running style. They're the 2, the 3 right next to each other. I can't see him running 1-2 throughout. So if I'm going to take the local and I'm going to take the price, I'm going to hope that he's able to wear down Blue Angel. Somebody else maybe from off the pace if you're looking for the exotics in there. Dr. Ruben M. is also going to be up part of that mix. So we're all looking at the front of the pack in here. If you're playing exactas trides, I think you definitely want to get some closers on the underneath. There's some quality speed horses in here, but the likelihood of 3 2-year-olds all running long, a couple of them for the first time, all surviving and lasting in the trifecta, not very likely. So you could probably try to pencil in a closer maybe to get some of the bottoms in the exotics on Friday night. Let's go to Saturday now as we take a look at our schedule to Aqueduct. It's a back-to-back stakes double for us in races number 8 and 9 on the Big A card. The New York Stallion Series, $500,000. If anybody wants to complain about purse money for New York breds, it's a different day when we get to that kind of discussion. Sacrosanct for Brad Cox, the 9-5 morning line favorite in the Colts division of this race. 7 furlong sprint, Jeff. Brad Cox has got just a dominant group of 2-year-old fillies. He's looking to find which one of his 2-year-old colts will be the big one as we turn to 3 here soon. This colt Sacrosanct coming off 3 straight wins. He won the Bonguard. He won the Sleepy Hollow at Aqueduct. Are we going to try to beat him, or are you just going to take the favorite here?
No, I'm going to try to beat him, but I probably shouldn't. He's undefeated. I took Bold Fortune, who ran against Sacrosanct when Bold Fortune made his debut. That was at Saratoga. Sacrosanct kind of handled him pretty easily. But since then, Bold Fortune's come back with a maiden win by more than 10 lengths at Aqueduct, went up to Finger Lakes and won that race there, stakes there. And he did so with an 89 Beyer number, which is faster than anything the favorite's ever done. So maybe Bold Fortune has gone on by him now. I mean, horses develop at different rates, and he's outside the speed here. He's pretty quick, though. I don't think he'll be waiting around for anybody. He's 5-2 in the morning line, and if he were to run back to his race at Finger Lakes, he on numbers anyway, he's a strong fit. And hopefully, these 2-year-olds, they run and they get better with age and experience. And he's done that, 3 consecutive forward moves for Bold Fortune. So we'll see if he can run back to that Finger Lakes race here and try to beat a horse who's already beaten him once and may do it again.
Let's go to the video and take a look at Bold Fortune winning at Finger Lakes last time out.
As the field makes their way to the top of the stretch, 44-4. Bold Fortune keeps on going. Under Whose Radar's trying to go with him. Butter and the rest are all giving futile chase. At the 16th pole, it's all Bold Fortune. He came to run today. Shed a loot along late for second. Over Under Whose Radar.
If you're looking for the mojo play in there, Jeff, the one Friend of the Devil. I was driving around yesterday running some errands for some Christmas shopping, and Friend of the Devil from Grateful Dead came on the radio, had turned it up a little bit louder. So I don't know, maybe some good mojo in that one. But look, we talk about these 2 horses who are the favorites in this futurity. You're always thinking to look ahead towards next year with these 2-year-olds turning 3, both sprint pedigrees, both the Cox trainee and the horse that you like in here, both horses that are expected to stay short. Bold Fortune, Jeff's top pick in race number 8. We go to the 9th on Saturday at Aqueduct. It's the New York Stallion Series fillies division here, going 7/8 of a mile. Again, a $500,000 purse, a lot of money on the line. That's going to fill the entry box, of course, with 12 of them entered in here. Which of the dozen did you land on?
I went with Boston's Finest. Whenever I see a filly sell, I should say, in a 2-year-old training sale with a pedigree that you don't really recognize, and it brings almost 200,000 through the ring. That's a pretty positive sign that somebody likes her. And that's what happened with Boston's Finest. She was beaten in her debut at Saratoga. She got pretty well back that day. Came back and won a race at Aqueduct from slightly off the pace, which I like to see. And then most recently in a stakes race, even though she ran second in that race at Aqueduct back in late October, she was well clear of everybody else. So she ran a winning race. Her Beyer number produced another forward move. So 3 races, 3 rises and the speed figure. Looks like she's ready to step forward again, healthy work pattern. And again, the ability to win or run well without having to be in front. So that helps. So I like Boston's Finest here for Chad Brown. I don't think she's going to be any massive price or anything. She's 3-1 in the morning line. I don't expect her to go any higher than that, maybe even lower. But I think that at 7/8 of a mile, I think that this is a good spot for Boston's Finest to continue her winning ways and win her first stakes race.
The filly who beat her last time with the Angels came back already and has won the Key Sense Stakes in November. So that October effort in the Maid of the Mist was a pretty good one for Boston's Finest, who was 4.5 clear of the 3rd place finisher in the rest of the field in that group. Bulky field of 12, Boston's Finest, the solid top choice in there. If you're looking for some exotics, a good tri-super race with a field of 12 and a solid horse that you like on top. Those are good races to get into those intra-race exotics and dig in. So try to get a little deeper there in race number 9, the New York Stallion Series for the fillies. Jeff's top pick, Boston Finest. We switch gears now and head south. We'll go to some warmer climes for turf racing on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Championship meet a couple weeks in now. Tropical Park Oaks and Tropical Park Derby co-featured on the card. Race number 8 is the Tropical Park Oaks. It's Gulfstream Park. Mile and a 16th in here. Jeff, who do you like?
I ended up with Waskasoo on the comeback trail here for Bill Mott. We have not seen her since she won a race called the Florida Oaks at Tampa Bay. That was back in March. She was developing nicely at the time they had to stop on her. Again, another situation here, an angle that I like where you see a filly like her. She's run 5 times, and every race that she ran, she earned a higher, better speed figure. Most recently in the Florida Oaks, when she earned a career top. This is now, in watching her run, she's not a filly that has a massive blast. I mean, she's kind of a steady, grinding type of filly, and I don't want her in a race in which they're going to get away from her early. But this race, I think she's got a chance to draft into a really comfortable second flight stalking position in a race that probably will be slowly run the first part. So it's going to be ideally, the race shape is going to be ideal for her, as it was in the Florida Oaks when she sat 4th, sat, was given her cue and lengthened out. Now, hopefully, she's a better type, or at least as good a type now off the bench than she was when we last saw her, and the work pattern looks pretty healthy. So I don't know whether 10-1 on the morning line is realistic or not, but I know she's probably better than that. So if she's ready to roll off the bench, I think she can win. So Waskasoo for me to maybe pull off a surprise, but maybe not quite at 10-1 in the Tropical Park Oaks.
She's one of 5 last out winners, but it's been a while since we saw her, so let's go back and take a look at the Florida Oaks.
Let's see if anything coming out from the back just yet. Austere just got a tap on the shoulder. Weigh the Risk set still has a handful of horse. Still has to make up 4.5, though. As up front, Poolside with Slim takes over. Poolside with Slim, the leader. Trying to kick back out Primera Vista. Waskasoo, Style Point's going to look for a seam in the green colors just in behind. Weigh the Risk is starting to roll home down the outside. Big run from Dancing and Dixie as well. 16th pole. Poolside with Slim. Waskasoo coming up alongside. Waskasoo grabs the lead lane. Waskasoo wins the Florida Oaks.
That race turned out to be pretty solid because Poolside with Slim had a really good year for Rusty Arnold in these 3-year-old filly stakes races around the country. So a little bit of credentials behind that race that we haven't seen, on tape in quite a while. Bell of Rights, the 3 well drawn in here. I think one you want to keep an eye on, stepping up in class for trainer Shug McGahee. We talked about it. Shug in these late season turf races just has horses aim for these spots, and I would not be surprised if she runs a good one in here. Edgar Zayas riding should get a good trip, saving ground here with not much speed in the 1 and 2 holes. She's not fast either, but she's quicker than the 1 and 2, so she should be able to get over, get the hedge, and really get a nice trip. I'm looking for Bell of Rights to run an improved race in there. Jeff's got Waskasoo for Bill Mott, another American Pharaoh who can run on the turf. It just seems to be that's what American Pharaoh has turned out to be, Jeff.
Mostly with fillies too. If you want to, I mean both, but you're right. For some crazy reason, he's a grass sire, and you'd never know it by his form or his pedigree. It's just flukish. But I'll tell you one thing, at least he does something well. Because when they bred the American Pharaoh, when he first went to stud, everybody was looking for a Triple Crown, Colt, Derby, triple, classic type of horse. He hasn't gotten any of those. But at least he gets something. The grass fillies are good, so if you want to buy one, that's what to look for.
It's funny, too. The Justifies have been really good on the grass, too, So you think about these 2 American Triple Crown winners, and American Pharaoh and Justified, and what success they've had as grass sires.
Yeah, he gets his help from Scat Daddy, his sire.
Right, true.
You're not going to find too many Pioneer of the Niles running on grass, which, of course, is the sire of American Pharaoh. But Justified, they love them in Europe, I can tell you that. They run on grass and they run on anything. So.
Well, we mentioned Derby, so let's keep talking Derby. Tropical Park Derby is next up in our handicapping tour. We go to the 11th race at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, co-feature. If you want to learn more about the 14 entered in here, 12 plus 2 also eligibles, be sure to check out our Meet the Contenders series. I wrote it up earlier this week. It's online in our blog section, Xpressbet.com and news.first.com. Get a little bit of information on all these horses, the historical stats and trends of the Tropical Park Derby. Jeff, who did you end up picking on top here?
Tropical Park. I never was there. I never had a chance to go there. South Florida racetrack was there. Gulfstream was there, and Hialeah. Calder hadn't come around yet, but it was a really nice track. Famous for its tartan track, a synthetic track, the first of the synthetics way back in the early 70s. I think it's a playground now somewhere for kids. I'm not sure. I haven't been there, but anyway, they still. They still honor the racetrack, the Tropical Park Derby. And I went with Cugino here, Shug McGahee. You mentioned Shug with these grass horses late in the year.
Yeah.
Cugino has been racing against graded stakes company and better company than he's facing here. This is a listed stakes, so it is a little easier than what he's been seeing. Numbers-wise, he's very solid. He's the 9-5 morning line favorite for a reason. He's one of these horses, again, if you look at his form, he's the most effective when he can lay on the lead or right off it. He's not a horse that's got a big kick that wants to come from far back. So in a race like this that shapes up to be modest early, if I'm Ortiz, I'm going to let him roll out of there, get early position. That's necessarily in front, but that wouldn't be the worst thing either. But don't give him too much to do from the quarter pole to the wire, because he's kind of a grinder. He tries hard and he'll stay on, but in this field, if he gets him into a good spot, I think Cugino probably should outclass his field.
This looks like a race that could just kind of go 1-2 all the way. We talked about the Springboard Mile where the pace doesn't feel like it would go 1-2 all the way around. This one feels like it could. This could be one of those merry-go-round kind of races. And you mentioned Cugino, if he could be in the mix, he could be awfully tough. Let's go back and look at his runner-up last time out in the Hill Prince.
As the lead, and Bartlett is trying to take him all the way. Here comes Deterministic, who moves towards the outside. Main Beach is in pursuit, right to vote. Bartlett is still there. It's Bartlett. Deterministic is now coming after the leader. Here's Deterministic to push on by. From the back, Royal Majesty is lifting late too. Cugino from far out of it. Deterministic has a final 16th to get. It's Deterministic now opening up by 2. Late rally from Cugino on the far outside, but Deterministic wins the Hill Prince. It's Deterministic over Cugino.
And that was after being bumped at the start and taken out of his game. He still rallied nicely in there. Also interesting horse in here for me is Inveigled. I'm curious to see what this one has on the comeback. We haven't seen this one since July, but third in the Tessio. Horse who was fourth in the Holy Bull, ran in the Mucho Macho Man fourth earlier. Has never run on the turf, but has had a pretty decent first half of the 3-year-old season. Now comes off the layoff here by Entice out of a quality road mare. Not sure what we're going to get on the grass, but Jane Sabelli's going to try this one. Unfortunately for Inveigled, though, first time on grass, you draw the 12 hole, and it's going to be a tough trip from out there. But a decent 3-year-old, and I'm curious to see what that one has in the Tropical Park Derby. Let's move our attention from Gulfstream Park now as we head west to Los Alamitos on Saturday. It is the Los Alamitos Futurity, and you had mentioned maybe the Bob Baffert Invitational, more like it. Over the last week, we saw the Los Al race, the Starlet, won by Baffert for the 11th time. He got the winner last Saturday. He's looking for a 15th victory, Jeff, in the Los Al Futurity. This is the 11th year since it's moved from Hollywood to Los Alamitos. The 10 previous editions here at Los Alamitos, 8 Baffert winners. And we look just a field of 5. 3 of them trained by Baffert, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 2-4 finishers, gaming the runner-up there at Santa Anita or at Del Mar, and Getaway Car, who was 4th at Del Mar. He also has Mellencamp, the maiden, in there. 3 of the 5 for Baffert, but you and I are both, I don't know if we're like running straight head into the wind of a buzzsaw and trying to beat him, but I know there's a colt in here. Both of you are pretty, both you and I are very high on.
Yeah, his name is Journalism. He was a future star for us a few weeks back. Curlin Colt out of the really good race mare, Mopatism. And here was a recent work. Now, he did break his maiden before this workout at Del Mar, did it stylishly. What I love about this colt is his athleticism. He's sitting behind a workmate here, and he just moves so effortlessly and so easily with such a long, easy, breezing style. I mean, he just kind of floats over the ground. He's going to work here and prove much the best, Jeremy, without ever taking a deep breath. He is definitely, and as the son of Curlin, he figures to, but he's definitely stepping forward with every race, every workout. Ears are up here. He's just such a beautiful mover, and I think he's going to step forward big time in the Los Alamitos Futurity. Is it good enough to beat gaming? I don't know. But if he's 6-1 in the morning line, I'll gamble to find out.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he's finishing through the wire here and into the gallop out, just a super workout for the Michael McCarthy trainee. You have said it many times with the Curlins, the older they get and the longer they go, the better you like them. And he gets to stretch out from the 2-turn mile in that second start. Now it's the mile and a 16th at Los Al. And not just the mile and a 16th at Los Al, but the configuration of that paperclip racetrack. It's going to be a long stretch run in here. So a horse who really wants more in the way he galloped out and finished through the wire there, it could really flatter his running style, where he's at in his form cycle. 6 furlongs to a mile, now to a mile and a 16th with the long stretch run. I really like him a lot. Umberto Rispoli is going to be aboard. He was aboard in the debut. Gonzalez rode last time out at Del Mar, but Rispoli back aboard in this particular spot. We do want to mention with gaming in here, Flavien Prat in the saddle. Last week, Flavien Prat set the North American record for most stakes wins in a year, and he also tied the all-time record for most graded stakes wins in a year at 35. He could break that record. This would be his first shot in a graded stakes race for the weekend in the Los Al Futurity. If he wins on gaming, it'll be his 36th graded stakes win of the year, knocking off Jerry Bailey's 2003 run when Bailey won 35 graded stakes around the country. 2003, Jeff, was a year where I was traveling around a lot for the different networks doing research on all the broadcasts. We had a ton of racing broadcasts back then through Winter Communications and NTRA Productions. I think I saw of Jerry Bailey's 35 graded stakes wins. I probably saw 24 of them up close and personal, and he was just on every big horse that year. Bobby Frankel was winning everything. It was a tremendous run, and Frankel and Bailey really were kind of the talk of that season start to finish. But when you think about Flavien Prat, there's just not like one barn that he's riding for. He's coming west here and getting back on a Bob Baffert horse after riding in New York all year long. He's riding for everybody. He's winning for everybody, and it's just been a remarkable season for Prat. It would be no surprise if gaming wins this race. He was beaten a length and a half in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when his stablemate Citizen Bull got all the running in there, right? And he still ran a good second, chasing all the way and didn't give in any. Gaming's going to be the horse to beat, but you and I both are going to try to do it with journalism.
Interesting here that Baffert's two other entrants in here are owned by the same people, not people who own gaming. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to allow gaming just to stroll out there on the front end. One of them's going to go. The Maiden Mellencamp, who's got plenty of speed. And then Getaway Car doesn't want to wait around for anybody. He goes with Juan Hernandez. So gaming might feel some heat early on from his stablemates. Yeah. Certainly by the time the field hits the far turn. And here's journalism with Rispoli just kind of lagging back there. And you saw the way he breezes. He's the kind of horse who will go really slow, really easy. He's never going to pull. He's never going to get rank. He's going to drop over. He's going to 2-minute lick to the 3/8 pole. Yeah. And then he's going to he get his cue to go. And it's going to be interesting with a 1/4 mile run to see how much impression and what kind of impression journalism can make. Because things are going to set up nicely for him. And if he continues to improve not only in the afternoon, but as we saw in the morning, we don't know how good this colt is. But he's listed at 6-1 in the morning line. I think that's fair. I do. But I think he's better than that. So, sometimes, you go through a card or go through a series of races and you make selections and you like a few, you don't like a few. This one I'm gambling on, I promise you. Yeah. I promise you. This one's going to get my money. Journalism.
Should be an outstanding edition of the Los Al Futurity, even if we're only looking at a field of 5. Again, to get 2 of the top 4 finishers of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. One more question I want to ask you about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, since we have the 2nd and 4th place finishers. The only horse we've seen back from the Juvenile so far was Jonathan's Way, who rallied and ran 2nd, not threatening the winner in the race at Churchill Downs, the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. Do you take anything out of Jonathan's Way return in terms of how you feel about the Juvenile at all?
I thought it was, from a numbers standpoint, it was a strong race, but it was also accomplished under weird pace scenario. I mean, they went really slow. Nobody really made any ground. The favorite got eliminated at the start. It was an unsatisfying race. Let's put it that way.
Right. They walked and then flew. It was almost
right.
Like
and they flew home. The closers never had a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, given the race shape, I thought the first 2 finishers ran well, but they almost had to under that sense. I thought the race was over by the end of the clubhouse turn, quite frankly. So
if one of the Bafferts gets away in this race and journalism comes along and rallies for a good second, you still feel good about him as a road to the Triple Crown prospect on the West Coast or wherever Michael McCarthy may want to travel with him. I mean, you want to see a good move forward in here, but the time to gamble on him will be if he's anywhere near that 6-1 price, right? If he runs a good race here, he's going to be short somewhere, down the line.
Michael ran in the filly version of this race to Starlet, who was a maiden winner. Man, she ran a winning race. I mean,
you had her last week on top.
She was supplemented for that race, as was this colt. Not that 7,500 anybody's going to worry about that, but he did think enough, knowing that Baffert's going to have 3 in it, and he's still going after him. So, where he could certainly wait for a now one as a 2. I think there's one in the book at Santa Anita. So, but he's going for it right now. And again, when you give that kind of money for this kind of colt with this kind of pedigree, and you got five of them in the race, you're one of them, and 2 of the 3 remaining are maidens. You might as well go, and so they're not giving anybody any races here. They're trying to win for sure. They all are. And I do think journalism is an exciting prospect, and I'm hopeful that he'll run well. I want to see him on your list when you release it after the first of the year. The road to the Derby, the Triple Crown, and your analysis of it. And I hope to see journalism in the top. I don't know. Half a dozen anyway.
If he runs well on Saturday, he will be part of that for sure. With a $10 money back special when you bet the Los Al Futurity with Xpressbet and FirstBet. That means if your win bet finishes second or third, you get up to $10 back into your account in form of wagering credits. So take advantage of that. Journalism, good win bet opportunity. And it's very easy to run second or third in a field of 5 pre-scratches. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that promotion. Get involved with the $10 money back special. Race number 8 on Saturday at Los Alamitos. Let's go now to Turfway Park on Saturday night, where 4 stakes races over the Tapeta will comprise the inaugural edition of the Synthetic Championships. We're going to start things off in race number 4, the first of those 4 stakes races, with the My Charmer Stakes. We'll also look at the Prairie Bayou in a moment. My Charmer, most famously, of course, the dam of the Great Seattle Slough. But she was also the dam of Seattle Dancer, who brought $13.1 million at sale. You look at Seattle Dancer, didn't have the same kind of career as Seattle Slough. He did win a Group 2 over in Europe for Magner Tabor and the guys way back when. But the career of My Charmer was really as a broodmare, and that's why she's honored with the stakes race here at Turfway in her name, Jeff.
I thought it was her success on Synthetic. No, I guess that wasn't it. No, I mean, but she's got a filly in there, a mare actually, 6 years of age, named Dana's Beauty, who's, and again, you know how I lean on this stat, 2 for 2, perfect, undefeated in 2 starts over the Turfway Park all-weather surface, even though almost all of her races recently have been on turf, and she's okay on grass, don't get me wrong, she's fine, very fast on figure, a solid series of 90-plus buyer numbers, but hard to ignore a perfection on the all-weather in this race, obviously featuring all-weather runners, or at least ones that are have some credentials to run well here. But Dana's Beauty, even though she got beat last time at odds on, again, on the grass, her numbers tell me that she's not far off her best form, and she's back where she wants to be. So I like Dana's Beauty to win the My Charmer.
And of all the synthetic tracks that you've thought about over the past, decade or so, Turfway in its current form is one of the better speed tracks. Horses get to the front there and tend to hold it. That's Dana's Beauty's style to be pretty forward in her races. Let's go back and take a look at her in victory here over the Tapeta at Turfway Park.
Pick up her best stride, and here comes Chop Chop to the outside. It's Dana's Beauty trying to spring this huge upset. She's the leader at the 8th hole. Chop Chop closes in with Forever After All. Dana's Beauty still with the lead. Dana's Beauty at 20-1 all the way in the Latonia Stakes. Chop Chop check.
For another horse for course, Everland in here, 6-1 earlier this year, won the Bourbonnette Oaks from off the pace on that big card on the same program, I think, as the Latonia Stakes when your filly won here. So Everland, 3-year-old filly, taking on the Elders in here. Maybe the 5 is, the alternative to the 4 in here. 4 and 5, the 2 horses who have experience winning over this track. Let's go to the 6th race, the Prairie Bayou Stakes, a mile and a 16th here. This is 3-year-olds and up, a mile and a 16th, $250,000 person here as part of this Synthetic Championships. Of course, the Prairie Bayou, named for the 1993 Jim Beam Stakes winner. The race has been renamed so many times over the years on the Triple Crown Trail. When Prairie Bayou won it, it was still a dirt track at Turfway Park. He went on to Churchill Downs, where he ran second in the Derby. He won the Preakness and then broke down, unfortunately, in the Belmont Stakes. He was posthumously named champion 3-year-old that year. The Prairie Bayou Stakes, Jeff, has a field of 12 for that $250,000 purse. Which one did you wind up with?
I ended up, well, first of all, I looked at this race, and it looks like you mentioned, Jeremy, that Turfway can be positive for front-running types, speed hype types. This race really lacks speed. I wanted to find a horse that I thought would be in the fray. I don't demand that the horse be in front, but I don't want him any worse than second, third, or fourth. And Dresden Rowe certainly has that pace stalking, pressing, even pace forcing style if they want to use him. He's coming down from Woodbine, where he did all of his all-weather work there. I'm going to have to hope that the form will translate. I don't know why it wouldn't, especially in a race in which, again, Dresden Rowe will be in a position to take advantage of a stalking trip, as he did in this nice win. This was the Ontario Derby 2 races back at Woodbine. He's easy to recognize. If you want to bet on him, you won't have any trouble finding him based on his blaze that he runs. But I like to find that way that he hits the front here and finds the extra. He's being challenged here, but is lengthening out and held sway gamely. And if he's in the same position in this race, either on the lead into the stretch or right off it, ready to pounce, I think he'll lay his body down. So he's 9-2 in the morning line, relatively lightly raced, and I think he's got a chance to at least run his best race, maybe even better. And so Dresden Rowe for me to win at Turfway in the Prairie Bayou.
Favored in that race, Wadsworth is one. When I did my countdown of the Crown Series back when he was a 3-year-old a year or so ago, I thought he was the horse coming out of Turfway that winter. He really put it together and looked like a horse for course. Was dull fourth, beating a good distance that in the big race in the Jeff Ruby, and just hasn't produced since. He's been okay. He hasn't been bad in any of his races. He's won some of them, but he just hasn't been like, when you get a good Brad Cox horse, you expect to be at another level, and he's just kind of been flatlined. I'm not so sure with the one race back that he's any better than when he left. We're going to have to find out, but I wouldn't take a short price on Wadsworth to find out. So more attractive price there at 4.5 to 1 on Dresden Rowe for Jeff's top pick there at Turfway Park. For more on these 4 stakes races on Saturday night at Turfway Park for the synthetic championships, be sure to check out the blog space, Xpressbet.com and news.first.com for Scott Shapiro's picks for these races. Much looking forward to that. A little bit later today will be posted, so check that out on Friday for Saturday. Scott will have analysis of those races as well as the Louisiana Champions Day races from Scott at Fairgrounds. So he's been busy. Also, our guy Eddie Olczyk's going to give you some handicapping help with his hat trick on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, where again Tropical Park Oaks and Tropical Park Derby are on the program. Edzo's hat trick, we'll get that posted for you. Check that out tomorrow on race day Saturday for all of our handicappers chipping in on a big weekend of racing. And it all gets started tonight, Jeff. Remington Park. Post time will be 5 Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. That's an earlier post time. It's the final day of the racing meet at Remington Park, which began back in August. So closing night, everything must go. No big carryovers there. But again, everything must pay out here on the final night of the meet. And the final race of the meet will be the Springboard Mile in race number 12. So a really nice card there. The undercard stakes, I'll tell you, I believe begins in race 7 through 12. A couple big local stars on the first few races of those stakes. Could be some shorter prices that we're looking at, but some really excellent local horses to kind of watch and take interest in, and look at the multi-race wagers, the pick 4s, pick 5s, and if we can get a price there at the end in the Springboard Mile, you're on a 6 to 1 shot. I'm on a 15 to 1 shot in there. Maybe we can close out the pick 4, pick 5, with a little bingo in there. And that bet 100 get $10 promotion for Remington Park tonight. You want to take advantage of with First Bet and Remington, First Bet and Xpressbet. I'll give you the final word on the weekend before we return on Tuesday for the It's Official podcast.
Well, for me, it's interesting racing, obviously, out here in California with the Los Al Futurity. But there's some decent gambling around the country. I don't play that seriously at this time of the year. I kind of wait until Santa Anita before I dive in. A lot of research, a lot of workout watching out here, because a lot of these horses that will be racing at Santa Anita will be coming off layoffs. So you want to see who's fresh and who looks like they're cranked up and ready to go. Again, opening day is the day after Christmas. Several stakes races there. I think there's at least 4 grade 1s, maybe 3, 4, I think. But anyway, that'll be fun. And again, there's some, if you pick and choose your spots this weekend, you might be able to build up your bankroll a little bit. So go out, have some fun, make some money, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday for It's Official.